Welcome in to today's program here on Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up, Texans preseason. Wieners and the losers from their game up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They ended up winning that game 20-12. Good performances by a couple of guys you see up here. Kyle Allen for the Steelers looked pretty good. Calvin Austin as well. Robert Woods had himself a decent day. Same with Jawar Jordan and Davis Mills. Pretty good from the Texans all around. Just a reminder before I get into our winners and losers, these guys did not play against the Steelers due to injury. Kamari Lassiter, Will Anderson, Christian Harris, Desmond King, Titus Howard, Laramie Tunsil, Joe Mixon, and Tegan Quatoriano all were not available for the Texans up against the Pittsburgh Steelers on today's show. We gained quite a few subs from our live show, but trying to get to 16,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, make sure you go down and hit that sub button for daily videos here on the channel. We continue to grow. I'm trying to hit 20,000 subscribers this season. I know we can do it. And if you want free Texans coverage all year long, make sure you go down and hit that sub button. Now, the first winner up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think is pretty easy for me. Tank Dell. Tank Dell was that dude in the first quarter. I only had really one drive where he did anything, but he made the most of it. Had one catch, one touchdown for Tank Dell, and it was an absolute doozy of a touchdown. I actually tweeted it out if you want to see the highlight from Tank Dell. I mean, he made two guys miss on a post pattern, and it looked fantastic. He was gliding into the end zone. One reception, 34 yards again for a touchdown. He also had a punt return where he got 22 yards and got late hit out of bounds as well. Tank Dell was that guy in the first quarter for the Houston Texans. Just makes me that much more excited to see him in action this season. I know a lot of people are talking about Nico Collins and Stefon Diggs. Tank Dell might be that guy, and if you're drafting in fantasy in the next couple weeks, Tank Dell might be the receiver that you want to pick up from the Houston Texans. Another guy on offense that looked really good against the Pittsburgh Steelers, once again, Cam Akers, the second week in a row. Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive coordinator, actually gave him some praise in the middle of the week, saying, Cam Akers comes from a similar kind of scheme, kind of offense that he ran with the Rams and Sean McVay, and he is really, really good at making those quick, decisive cuts. We saw that up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the, rushing yards, 6 for 17, that doesn't really jump off the page, but him in the receiving game, he had a couple nice grabs, a couple nice moves in the open field, getting some, halfback screens. He was really dynamic in the passing game. Cam Akers could kind of sneak his way into being that RB3, maybe RB2. I don't know. Cam Akers looked fantastic up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to know from you, though, at home. I think, maybe it's Cam Akers. I think it might be Tank Dell. Who was the biggest winner against the Pittsburgh Steelers? The biggest winner for the Houston Texans? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Was it Tank Dell? Was it Cam Akers? Was it maybe a guy that I'm about to come up here on the show? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it was on defense, maybe you were saying Danielle Hunter. He only played for a couple drives as well, but got that sack up against Justin Fields and looked, look at those veins. Look at those arms. This dude is jacked. He had 2 tackles, 1 sack, a tackle for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. And like I said, he only played a couple drives in this game. Danielle Hunter was that guy. I am so pumped for NFL Sundays when we get to see Danielle Hunter on one side, Will Anderson Jr. on the other, and what they're able to do for this team, for this pass rush. Opposing quarterbacks better beware, because this duo is going to be scary good from Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Another guy on the defensive line that really impressed me was Mario Edwards Jr. He got a half sack and made a couple really decent plays in the backfield. I thought, he's stepping in now for Nico Autry after the news of that 6-game suspension. He's the guy who needs to step in and be that starter in the defensive line interior, and he's really stepped up. He looks really, really good, especially in this game up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a half sack, and a quarterback hit. Mario Edwards Jr. also only played, I believe, the first quarter of this game. So in that time, he put up these numbers. Mario Edwards Jr., I was a little bit worried. I was like, do we need to add a defensive tackle, trade for one? I think we might be good. I think Mario Edwards Jr. could be that guy to step in. And even when DeMeco Autry comes back, maybe they just rotate between Mario Edwards Jr., DeMeco Autry, and Foley Fatukasi as kind of a three-headed monster in that defensive tackle room. Lastly, and you might laugh at me for this, Tommy Townsend. He was able to flip the field, and he was so good punting the football today. I mean, I know it's silly. You know, oh, punter? Really? You were talking about a punter? This is not why I subscribed to Texans Today for punter and coverage. Well, you do when it's a guy like Tommy Townsend, and he's able to put up the numbers he did. 5 punts, 45.4 average, 2 inside the 20, a long of 62. He absolutely booted that first punt that he had in today's game. And also, he put a ball deep into the air. The hang time on that thing was crazy. Quez Watkins wasn't able to reel it in, muffed the punt, and the Texans recovered. Tommy Townsend looked really good as the Texans' new punter that they signed from the Chiefs this offseason. Now, before I get into today's losers from the Pittsburgh Steelers game, I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors over at Game Time. It's my go-to ticketing app. They should be your go-to ticketing app. Want to make your life like a movie? Well, this past year, Game Time has helped me do just that by helping me get floor seats to Adele and Drake. I would not have been able to see two of my favorite artists of all time if it wasn't for my favorite ticketing app, Game Time. You can find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And Game Time has a guarantee, the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So what's to lose? Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Now, the first loser against Pittsburgh, and this one breaks my heart because, I mean, it's been a roller coaster this offseason for John Mechie. I was saying, maybe he could be cut or traded. CJ Stroud loves him. This team loves him. No way he gets cut. Now he just really hasn't wowed me, hasn't performed, and I know it's the preseason, but Xavier Hutchinson looks a lot better than he did today. Robert Woods looked a lot better than he did today. And I know it's unfair for me to be like, John Mechie, he dropped one ball, and that's the reason why I'm calling him a loser. I'm not calling him a loser. I'm saying from today's game, he really didn't play that well. He didn't shine as much. But when a guy like Robert Woods has a game like this, 4 receptions on 4 targets for 42 yards, he looked really good in this game, and so did Xavier Hutchinson. He had a catch, and then he had a really nice end around where he went for about 20 yards. So John Mechie is really going to have to put in some work to make sure that he secures himself a roster spot. I don't think he gets traded. I don't think he gets cut. I think he does have a roster spot. But we expect a lot out of John Mechie, a former second-round pick out of Alabama. He really needs to prove himself, and he needs to make sure that he comes in and really in these next 2 weeks, these next 2 preseason games, shows us something because we know we have a dynamic three guys at the top. We have Stefon Diggs, we have Nico Collins, we have Tank Dell. Who are those next guys? I mean, Noah Brown really sticks out as that 4th wide receiver. Number 5 and 6, Xavier Hutchinson, Ben Skoranek, Robert Woods, they're all fighting for a spot as well. Need to see a little bit more out of John Mechie. This guy coming up next, Ali Gay. I thought, honestly, he had some really good moves. He had some really good pass rush moves, and he's fighting for that defensive end spot on this team, and he's really trying to make this roster on this defensive line. And obviously, the DN room is stacked with Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr. as the top 2 guys. You have Derek Barnett kind of as the 3rd rotational guy. Like I said, Ali Gay made some nice moves, was not able to finish. He had Kyle Allen dead to rights multiple times in the backfield, was not able to get him down. So I really would like to see him convert those rushes into sacks if he wants to make a spot on this team, wants to make the roster. But you need to see more out of a guy like Ali Gay, somebody who's fighting for a spot in this final 53-man. And if you're missing sacks, if you're missing plays like that, you're not able to, really put your imprint on this team, really put your imprint on this defensive line and say, to the coaching staff, hey, I deserve a spot on this defensive line. I deserve to be maybe the 4th or 5th defensive end on this team. So, Ali Gay, one of the losers from this game. And lastly, Kaimi Fairbairn is a loser for me from this Pittsburgh Steelers game. The kicker, 2 things. He missed a field goal, which in a regular season game would have been massive. We're up 20-12 in easy distance, easy range for Kaimi Fairbairn. He's knocked in these time after time after time, misses it, kind of hooks it wide left, and then on a PAT, almost hits the crossbar. I mean, did not look good today for Kaimi Fairbairn. I know in practice, in other situations, he's looked good in this offseason. Today was not his day for Kaimi Fairbairn. Like I said, went 2 for 3 field goal, 2 for 2 extra point, but one of those extra points hit the crossbar, could have gone out. And like I said, if this was a regular season game, that missed field goal would have been crucial. Could have been the difference between the Texans winning and losing a game. Need Kaimi to be better down the stretch for the Houston Texans. If he really wants to, make sure the Texans are contenders this year, as funny as it sounds, you really need a good kicker. You really need a kicker within situations when the game is close, whenever it's a really close game, late in the game, and you need 3 points, you need to make sure you are confident in the guy going out to kick those field goals. Now, those were my 3 guys that really, I think, need to step up a little bit more these next couple weeks. Let me know, who do you think was the biggest loser from today's game up against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Let me know down in the comment section who was the biggest loser from this game. As always, make sure you hit that sub button. We are trying to reach 16K. We're pretty close. Make sure you go down and hit the sub button for free Texans content all year long. We're pumping out daily content for you on the regular, and like I said, 100% free. So there's no reason for you not to hit that sub button or go to youtube.com/TexansTV.